owners won't be aboard. Hey!
Hello, and welcome back to Going Back in History. Today we will be talking about the road to the Civil War and how slavery became an essential issue that split the U.S. Today we have special guests, Brielle, Sadie, Caroline, and Dylan, and they will be talking about specific topics related to the road to the Civil War. Let's get right into it. By 1776, almost 600,000 slaves lived in the United States. This totaled almost 20% of the nation's population, 1 in every 5 people. Through the years between 1776 and the start of the Civil War, slave numbers only kept rising. With inventions like cotton gin, businesses was becoming for slave owners. Slavery became the central issue that split the United States and led to secession and the Civil War because of disputes between the North and the South United States, and Abraham Lincoln's victory of the 1860 election. That was just a quick intro onto our topic today. For this next section, we have special guest Dylan Mixes from the Economic Program at Harvard University.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
The agriculturally dependent economy of the South required for slavery to be implemented. Slave owners wanted to expand it into the Western territories to keep the social order of slavery in check. With the growing economy of slavery in the South, slave owners felt that they needed to expand slavery into the newly acquired Western territories. In the South, the economy was mainly agricultural, specifically based on the cultivation of cash crops like tobacco and cotton. The system had a very small upper class of large plantation owners who owned most of the land and enslaved people. They relied on slaves because they were cheap and there were many of them. In the 11 states that would eventually secede from the Union, 4 out of 10 people were enslaved and accounted for over half the agricultural labor. The slave owners wanted to expand slavery into the Western territories to preserve the economy and the social order.
Thank you for your time, Dylan.
Thank you for having me.
And now from the History Department of Yale University, we have Dr. Brielle Ola talking about the Missouri Compromise.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and share the knowledge that I have with all of you. The Missouri Compromise was a compromise between the states about if Missouri should be a slave state or free state.
As America acquired new territories out west, it began a dispute over the expansion of slavery and the South's support of slavery being undermined by the new states. Prior to the territory of Missouri entering the U.S., slavery had existed in this land for years. Before Missouri entered, there were the same amount of slave states as free states. When Missouri asked to join the Union as a slave state, the slave states would outnumber the free states in the U.S. Senate. Many people in the U.S. Congress refused to allow Missouri to join the Union as a slave state, including New York Congressman James Talmadge, who was against slavery. He proposed a Talmadge Amendment, which stated that Missouri would be allowed to join the Union only if slavery would be abolished over time. In the South, slavery support was growing stronger, and to end slavery would cause downfall in these states. The South relied heavily on the states, especially because of new innovations like the cotton gin. With new states joining the Union from the South, a debate over the expansion of slavery took place and eventually led to the Civil War.
Well, thank you, Brielle. On our final topic, we have 2 special guests coming from Princeton University, Dr. Caroline Howe and Professor Sadie Reed. Today they will be informing us about Abraham Lincoln and his presidency and how it played an important role in the road to the Civil War. Hello, thank you guys so much for coming.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks. We're very excited to talk about this president from the Civil War.
Lincoln's presidency played an important role in the road to the Civil War. Lincoln was elected president and had very strong thoughts about many things, such as slavery and the unity of our nation. The North liked Lincoln, however, the South did not. The South thought that if Lincoln was elected to be president, it would be a threat to slavery. He had no immediate plans to abolish slavery when he came in office, but he wanted to stop slavery's expansion into the Western territories. Southern leaders thought that it would wall off slavery and eventually make it die out.
The 1860 election was very different from many other elections. This one was very divided, as most of the free states all voted for Lincoln, while most of the slave states voted for his contender, Breckinridge. Lincoln won this election, which showed the South that the free states' political power was higher and had more electoral votes in the Electoral College than the slave states. When Lincoln was elected, the slave states saw no other possible outcome of expanding slavery. It was most likely going to end, so many of the southern states decided to secede and form the Confederate States of America. The election of Lincoln was a huge turning point in American history, and it took action against slavery.
Thank you guys so much for coming.
It's our pleasure.
Thanks. Slavery grew to become the issue causing secession of the states and the Civil War because the South was pro-slavery and the North was non-slavery. The South was fighting for slavery to expand into the new Western territories, and the North was fighting against that. Slavery was a big issue for many years and a very important piece of American history. In today's world, it is important to learn about this part of history, with people trying to erase the history of slavery and racial discrimination from our education. It just makes it even more important to learn about the time prior to the American Civil War. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. We'll see you next time on Going Back in History.
North and South were splitting in two, arguing loudly like toddlers do.
Lincoln stepped in with his hat held high,
Only letting one choice slide.
But history rolled in with an intense civil war.
And now this won't be a bore.